Hi there. Welcome to the Boy Child Initiative Show. My name is Judith Courage-Atayero. On this show, we talk about issues surrounding the boy child and how to raise boys to become better men in society. Today with me, I have a wonderful guest. He's been in the PR space for the longest, over a decade, and he has so many things that he has done over the years. But I want him to introduce himself this time. Please, a round of applause for Dami Moyela. So, hi Dami, so great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Please, can you just give us a brief introduction? Who is Dami Moyela?
Basically been selling media for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. I've been in the business of media over 10 years. And I've also been privileged to work with everyone.
Over talk my year.
In the business category, in politics and entertainment, So that's me in a nutshell. That's professionally, yeah.
So when we are not talking about professionally, what do you like to do?
Movies.
You enjoy watching movies?
Yeah, I'm a movies person.
Do you enjoy romantic, comedy,
No, it has
action?
to be sci-fi, action, something dystopian, Yeah.
Which one is dystopia again? What do you think English would be? Please, I beg, explain in simple terms. What is dystopia?
So more like futuristic movies that tell you about the future, about what the world will look like maybe in 10, 20, 40 years.
Okay.
Time travel.
All those kind of movies. So you watched Jumper?
That's an old film.
I said I downloaded it recently. Okay, that's interesting. That's a fun fact. I like that.
Yeah.
So today we'll be talking about a quite interesting topic that isn't really talked about, or I haven't really heard people talk about it.
Okay.
And it's about abuse as it relates to the boy child and the male gender in general. So you hear people say, men cannot be abused, things like that. What do you have to say about that?
I think men are abused more.
Really?
Yes, than the opposite sex and females. That's my own. That's how I see it.
Okay.
And it's because someone who doesn't or necessarily have a voice or an opportunity to express themselves can be assumed for. So most men are abused on a daily, on a weekly, throughout their lives.
And that's like different forms of abuse, like physical abuse,
different kinds of abuse.
Verbal,
yes,
sexual.
In the workplace, at home, in relationships, even between friends, male, female friends, because we're in a society where a man is not expected to express that side of himself.
Yeah.
So that's my own opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's valid, to be honest, because men do not really talk about these experiences, even though we know that, perpetrators of like rape and all of that, physical abuse and against women are men. But I think it comes from a form of trauma that they've experienced. So this is not me giving credence to men that physically abuse women. And this is why it's important that we have these conversations. And this is why I am doing this, because I realized that so many men carry trauma from past experiences, from their childhood, from abusive fathers. And so if they do not deal with it and treat it, like the previous episode, we talked about mental health and all of that, and seeking therapy and improving themselves, they are going to inflict these pains that they've gone through on the women in their lives. And I think this is why this conversation is very important. But there was something you said, and I would like to highlight on. You talked about, abuse in the workplace. Do you want to shed more light on that?
So I think, not to narrow it down to one particular, I think it's everywhere.
Okay.
I think the fact that you're a man, there's an expectation.
Yeah.
For you, you're expected to lead, you're expected to be in charge, you're expected to know it all, even when you don't even know jack. You're expected to provide. In some climes, it might be considered unfair, but the reality is once you are a man, you come out as a man, you're expected to be first in almost everything. And obviously that's unfair, because most men don't even have that advantage, to be able to learn how to be men. I was listening to someone years ago, and he said, just relationship wise, he was referring to men, saying if a man asks a lady out, what the lady should be asking first is, do you know how to love me? Are you trained to love me? So there seems to be a campaign towards not caring for what the man feels.
So are you trying to tell us that men feel too?
Obviously now. Obviously.
How come they don't used to show it? What's the problem? Go.
So, like I said earlier, there's a huge gap. There's a huge disconnect. And if we know what men go through, it will be easier to help them.
Can you just give me, paint a scenario or things that maybe you have gone through?
Maybe not me, but I'll make it general. General. So, for instance, in society, most of the time, it's gentlemanly to maybe open the door, try to, be nice to the female. Even in some careers, maybe because of the way we have, designed, there are some things you hear, they say, oh, it's a man's job, it's what a woman shouldn't do. The society that we are in actually makes it easier for
because things
the
have
woman,
evolved.
In some cases. And a lot of men still get abused, but can't. Okay, so let me just give you a couple of friends.
Okay.
If you go on social media and you hear a man beats a lady up, and the next minute or the next day, you hear that a lady beat up her husband. The response is always
different,
very different. I'm sure the lady that beat up her husband will get more views and jokes, and check the comment section. You'll be wondering what's going on. But the truth is, men get beaten up in a whole lot of ways, even in getting jobs. Yes, there are certain opportunities that you don't get because you're a man. Yes, I've experienced that, when I started media early on, but then this happens also. So most of the things we complain about, or that females, complain about,
men to also
and they
experience
advocate for the, female child, happens to men too.
That's why we're here.
It happens to men too. So, the pain that is obvious is there's no voice per se. It almost sounds like there's no voice loud enough.
Okay.
Preaching that message. So I think that's where we need to bridge. We need to bridge. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That was actually quite deep and insightful. And it leads me to ask about, we're talking earlier before the show started, and we're just talking about, abuse and verbal abuse. Do you want to touch on that?
Verbal abuse starts from the home, basically. But this, I wouldn't say, is just to the male child or the female.
It cuts across board.
Cuts across. So it usually starts from the home. You can tell how confident a man would be.
Yes.
Depending on how the kind of words he's been hearing from home. In the West, most families, maybe not most, but a lot of families use abusive words in training up a child. There's this perception that that's what will make you strong and formidable. If you've applied buses before, it's obvious even the way the bus drivers and the conductors address passengers. You can tell that there's a lot of toxicity, behavior on that. So yes, verbally, most homes, a child does something wrong, you'd already most likely hear questions like, are you foolish? Are you being foolish? Don't be an idiot. at a very young age, even before the child can learn to speak.
Yes.
So it goes way, way back from the home and almost everywhere.
But I also want to touch on the aspect of relationships, because I've had friends that have been in abusive relationships. Because, by the way, it's not only women that are in abusive relationships,
Okay.
men too are in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as the guy's babe just talking to him anyhow, or just shouting at any point in time, just being rude and all of those. Like, how do we raise this next generation of young men that are coming into that space to realize, okay, how do they know what abuse is when it comes to like verbal abuse? Because it's not something that is really clearly defined.
Yeah. So children don't. Children can't raise themselves, basically, and children don't even get raised based on what they are told. So children don't learn based on what they are told. If you want a child to learn or understand something, you need to show the child. So right from a very young age, the child observes its environment and lives out that experience most throughout the life of the child.
Yeah.
So I would say the best solution to that is for parents to be present. It is no-brainer. It's scientific. If there's a child that has any of the parents missing or out of the picture, there will be deficits. Most of the time, when you see a man that is being bashed by the opposite sex in a relationship and still stays there, is because most times maybe he didn't get enough affection from the mother while growing up, or the father was absent. In some cases, maybe it's vice versa. It could be so there's always, because if a child had, or in this case, if a male child had, or has somebody like a male figure in the picture to tell him, constantly showing him what it means to be male, what it means to be, strong, you won't wait in anything. You won't wait in any abuse. Most of the time, the guys that don't really get it fast and move on and keep staying there till maybe they kill them, they get injured, are usually guys that have that deficit from the past. They didn't have their parents present. Yeah. So if you ask me, the best solution is to have both parents present.
So I actually want to ask, now this is like a very sensitive, like a more sensitive aspect to this conversation, right?
Okay.
So how do you think societal perception has framed men and boys being able to talk about sexual abuse? Do you think men also get, sexually violated and abused?
Yes, they do. They do. There's more. So I would use TV. Most young people watch TV.
Yeah.
So there's more content on TV and on social media that speaks to the female child being violated.
Yeah.
That speaks to the female child being raped. That speaks to and in all those cases is obviously the male that perpetrates. So over time it's conditioning. If you studied mass comm and early on you get to know how powerful the media is. Even without studying the mass comm. The TV itself, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, platforms that have the advantage of showing images and if you want to condition anybody, just make sure that what they are saying is consistent with the message you want to pass. So we have a whole generation of about over 50 years or almost 100 years that the 80 to 90% of what they've been watching is showing that image. So obviously it's easy to neglect a reality. I was going somewhere. It's easy to neglect another reality that is going on under the scene because nobody's talking about it. you see a lot of people, girl children being raped, but you don't get to hear anything about male children being raped. Most men had their first experience, sexual experience, without their consent. Yes.
I actually have a friend that told me that he was sexually abused when he was 11.
Yeah.
And he grew up thinking that was normal. Like when we had the conversation, I was so upset.
Yeah.
I was very angry because I was like, it is not normal. Like, how do you think that it is normal that was your first encounter when it came to sex? And he's in his 40s right now and he feels like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So how do we bring the notion that abuse in any form, whether male, whether female, is bad? And especially even for the gender that doesn't speak out, which is the male gender. How do we go about it?
It's to reverse the conditioning.
How do we reverse the conditioning?
To reverse it, it's you need to have power. You need to literally have like a strong control of the media, because I don't think there's any other way to reach people at that large scale. I grew up with on TV. I grew up even before the cinemas came to be. Grew up with MTV. I grew up with all the major TV stations. So most of the things that we know, aside what we were taught in school, we got from the media.
Yeah.
So to reach or to be able to at least bridge that gap, you would have to have a strong space in the media, or if not, also have opportunities to access the media. Yes. So I feel that's the fastest way to reach a larger audience.
Okay, I hear you, but at the same time, I feel like let's address shame. Shame, even like for women to even tell their stories, is a whole new level.
Yeah.
So shame for men. How do we create a safe environment for men who have been abused to talk about these things so that younger boys will not go through that? Like I literally saw Tunde Onakoya's tweet, I think yesterday, and he was talking about how younger street children that they've gone to, meet, told them that they've been sexually abused by the older ones.
Yes.
So how do we create a platform where people are vulnerable enough to share their experiences on this important issue that isn't being talked about enough?
So I think the platforms are already there.
But are the men willing to share their story?
And I think what needs to be done is the same thing we do for the girl child. It's not far-fetched. So there are platforms already. Everybody has access to media now. But then we just need to keep, reaching out to people that can, come out. So if you notice when anything like this comes up, even when it doesn't have to do with sex or this, usually when somebody comes out to speak about it boldly, and it gains, mass appeal, it's easier for other people to come up, right?
Yes.
You check any popular, rape case, like Diddy in the US, even locally. Stuff happened last year and the years before. When somebody comes out, at least get somebody to start speaking.
Yeah.
So we just need a voice. Usually a voice will galvanize the community. People will come out. It might take time, but then it starts with one person. Once you can get someone to, start speaking about this, it's easier to get, other people to speak about it. And also note that even rape towards the female child, despite all the campaign that has been going on over the years, hasn't like stopped it. You get, so it's more like a journey of some sort. I don't think it's something that will be easily nipped on the bud.
Okay.
When we start, but then it's best to at least start it and campaign towards that. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Are there, like, do men, like for women, it's easier to say, like, to meet your fellow woman, even though it might be difficult to say that, okay, I was abused as a child, this. I know men don't really talk a lot. So is there even like a support system for men who have actually like experienced abuse to feel vulnerable enough to share? Because I think that the beginning of healing starts with talking about the problem, and then you can find solution. Are there support systems that encourage men to actually share their stories?
That I know of,
Yes.
not really. Maybe yours will be the first. Most of the boy organizations that I know about, I'm not so sure if they've been pushing that narrative out there.
Okay.
Most of the things I've seen them push over time tilt towards human capacity development,
Yes.
empowerment and the likes.
Yes.
But specifically to what you asked, I think I don't know of anybody, pushing that at the moment.
So this is something we need to push out.
Yes, it's definitely something that we need to push out because it's happening. It's happening every day. It happens a lot with the house help you're keeping with your male kids. And to even make it even clearer, it's not only females that rape young boys, even men rape young boys. It's also popular knowledge for most people that get into prisons all over the world.
Yes.
That usually if you're a male, you get into the prison, some prisons, and I think it's almost everywhere globally, in almost every country. The male will be defiled maybe that same night or that same week.
Goodness.
So there's a lot going on in that area that is not being advocated for. And I think it's the conditioning. It's the, you are a man. You don't need to be seen. You don't need to be seen in that light. Yeah.
I don't know. This thing is paining me. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I feel I don't know how to put it in words, to be honest. I just feel like we should be able to have these conversations. But to a boy child watching this, to a young man watching this, or even a man watching this that has experienced a form of sexual abuse or molestation, what should they do?
Reach out.
To who?
Anybody they can reach out to. Reach out to will I say the police? Reach out to...
Will the police do anything or they'll be laughing at them?
I don't think so. With and I also know there are some humanitarian organizations out there can reach out to.
They can even reach out to us.
Yes, also reach out to you, obviously.
Yes.
But then I just feel just like any other offense.
Yeah.
That you reach out to the authorities for. This is something you need to reach out to the authorities for also. Because it is a crime. So yeah.
But what advice, because still on that aspect of stigma and shame, what if there are men that still want to talk about these things but can't find themselves to open up? How do they go about it?
If they can't open up, then I don't think there's any hope for solving the problem.
At all?
Yes. If anybody has experienced this, I think the best way for them to stop it from happening is to speak up. For instance, I'm aware of a program called BBC I think that's the word. I've been part of it before, where as a journalist, you would go into certain territories and pretend to be part of that community. But mic'd into you have a camera or recordings and things like that. Usually a camera just to get information of what goes on.
Yeah.
Actually, there are communities and there are gangs. There are people that do this a lot. So I think, that's one way. you can reach out to BBC. They'll be open to even grant and push you. It's not all interviews that would put your face out there.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. But for me, just like any other crime, reach out to the authorities, reach out to organizations like yours, and, something might be done about it. Even though it might not change, definitely won't change the deed that has been done.
Yeah.
But it can help somebody else somewhere, from, avoiding such.
Thank you so much. I hear you.
Yeah, and it will also help men know how to treat women better. Because you'll be wondering why some men have this high level of insecurities and they hold back, a lot. Like you said some minutes ago, some men even they beat women,
yes,
they do things, and they're just bottling up a lot of
emotions.
Things. Yes. So
I don't know if you can. I'm trying to comport myself. But I would like to ask this valid question, right? How can society make it easy to be a safe space for boys and men who have gone through a form of sexual abuse?
Not to condone it, not to accept it, to be very vigilant. So some years back, 5 years back, if you noticed on social media, started getting a lot of posts on how you leave a child with an uncle.
Yeah.
And the uncle will be a child that is an infant. It's not even an infant, not even, cannot reason, cannot walk.
Yes.
And, so I think that same kind of attention too should be given to male children. And when we hear anything like that, it should, I will try to code what I want to say now, but then a lot of men a lot of the sexuality of most men is not actually their fault. Yes, a lot of men today that grow up to maybe discover or start to say they think this is their sexuality. This is how they are.
Yes.
Most of them didn't have an opportunity to decide that.
How do you mean?
So if a boy child was defiled at a young age,
yes,
and consistently defiled at a young age, then he grows up seeing that his interest is in boys.
I see.
He didn't choose that now.
I see your
He
point.
didn't decide that.
Because that's an adverse effect.
Because that's yes. I spoke with somebody some hours ago, and the person was, told me, about, and somebody close to them being a rape victim. Go and check all rape victims. It's always hard for them to connect to somebody that they truly love. It's not as if they don't love that
eventually,
person. Yeah. But it will take a lot, because usually even the process of sex, even a marriage for most of them, is a struggle, because their first knowledge of the act of sex
was perverted.
Yes. Talk less of when you have a male that was abused as a young child, or was abused throughout his childhood. Then he travels abroad or comes up tomorrow and says he's gay. I don't have anything about that sexuality, but I'm just saying most of the sexuality of people today, especially men, was decided for them before they started reasoning. So it's a stigma. It's a big issue. It's a very big issue.
And I'm glad that we are having this conversation, because if you are watching this right now and you've experienced any form of abuse, please, you can reach out to us. Please speak up. We'll keep you anonymous. But it's very important that we share these stories, because your voice matters, your experience matters, and what you have gone through is valid. But beyond that, I hope that you seek help. You get to talk about it and you get to heal, because we need more wholesome men in our society. I'm so sorry. I didn't know I'm crying. So, Dami, I would like to ask, what are the signs a parent should look out for to know if their male child is being abused sexually, or even any kind of abuse whatsoever?
So I think the first sign should be the connection you have with the child. So I'll give you a case scenario. The mother is a banker, so she leaves at 8 o'clock. Before 8, 6 a.m. She has to be in the office by 7. She, like every other banker, whether you're top level or, just starting out. And they're a young couple. And the dad is a media veteran or a media people. You have to also be out there, because before 7 a.m. you have to catch the news to know what's up before it goes on the newspapers. Newspaper stands. So because you are the news, you're a media guy. So who takes care of the new boy? So what happens is the mother who works in the bank comes back, would obviously maybe check out formally at 4, but usually bankers maybe 7 to 8. So by maybe 9 they are home. And the dad, he doesn't really make so much from media. Where the money comes from are the side opportunities, maybe branding opportunities, endorsements, events, and consultancies. So meaning that the dad also has to keep night outs, to connect with people after COB. So who's with the kid? There's no grandmother in view. In some cases, it's even more than a child. So let's look at I just painted the life of the parents. So that morning, there's somebody coming to come and pick the child. Let's even assume the child is in a primary level. So there's a school bus that picks the child to school. The child comes back. Most likely, if there's a house girl, the house girl might not necessarily even be at home when the child gets back. But let's just say there's food down for the kid. The kid eats, has opportunity to play with other folks, just like the kid had opportunity to play. Also notice, while the kid is at school, the kid meets other people's kids, habits are also formed through those processes. So we are looking at from the hours of 8 a.m. to most likely 9, that's about 12 hours. The child is with a stranger in most cases. And in some homes, there's nobody looking after the child for those 12 hours. Now, by 9, everybody's supposed to sleep, right? So the cycle goes on like that. The only time, the parents have to rest is Saturday and Sunday. And do they even really rest? So what is really happening is not, I think, is a societal conditioning more than the problem itself. Because when you don't have time to connect remember what I said? There's no time.
Yeah.
It's not even your own wish now. You don't have time to connect with your child. I don't think there's any way you can solve this on that level. Because a child will not tell you what's going on willingly.
Yes. It's from conversations.
It's from a connection. If you've ever loved somebody, like we all have loved ones, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, it could be your dad, it could be an opposite sex, you know that most of the important conversations are the things unsaid.
Yes.
You will pick it. You just know that there's something off. There's something here. Yeah. So usually why the male child might not get that solved at home is because there's usually no connection
between the child and the parent.
Yes, and I also noticed this, even on TV and even on social media, there is more content online that portrays the connection between a father and a daughter.
Yeah.
You see less of the connection between the parents and the male child.
Or even father and son.
Yes, I'm not being biased. I'm not trying to say, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, if beyond me being busy as a parent, I'm not a parent yet.
Yes.
But then, if I can seek that connection, or rather, yes, if I seek a connection, I will make out time. Out of no time.
Yes.
We all know how to attend to the priorities in our life.
Yes.
The problem is that the problems of life, or rather the issue is that the problems of life make us focus on the wrong things.
Rather than things that matter.
Then when it's too late, we now realize that we've missed it.
Yes.
Because it's not really that job. Yes, it's providing. But why are you providing?
Because of the children.
What's the idea of posterity if it is not really checked from the board? So it's that time. It's the time to connect. It's the time to know before somebody would defile another. It will take time. It's always a process.
Yes.
It takes time. You will be surprised that the child that is being defiled too will start defiling his cousins.
Yes. And the cycle just...
Yeah. Friends that come over, because it's a mental programming. The child doesn't know any better. He's a teenager, he's just defiling people. Is what he's been taught. So the only solution to that being solved at home is to connect to that child. Your child is not a project. We are robotic.
Let me say it again. Your child
is not a project. Your child is an extension of yourself. If you we don't love ourselves. That's why we're in this mess.
Yes.
So that's what I'll say. If you love yourself, you put yourself first. And putting your children first.
Please say it again. If you love yourself,
you put yourself first.
Put your children first.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Dami. That was such an insightful conversation. Like, I've cried. I've wiped off my tears.
Sorry.
But I'm so glad we are having this conversation.
Yeah.
And this is like the goal for this, to create awareness and to sensitize people in society, parents, guardians, the community, teachers, friends. That is very important for us to hold these conversations and to create awareness regarding the issues surrounding the boy child.
Yeah.
And to you watching this, I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two. And if you're a male, a young man going through abuse, or if you're even a man that has gone through any form of abuse and you want to lend your voice to this cause, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We'll leave our details below in the video. Thank you so much for watching. Wow, that was quite a conversation. I have cried. I have have gone from different kinds of emotion altogether. And I'm so glad we're able to lend our voice to this conversation that isn't being had enough or that isn't being talked about enough. And if you are a young man out there, if you're a boy child, or if you're even a man that has gone through any form of abuse and you would like to lend your voice to this conversation, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You're on Instagram at Help the Boy Child Initiative. And you can reach out to me personally. Details will be below in the caption. Thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. But before I go, I would like to thank every single person that has made this shoot possible. I would like to thank TagBaze, the producers, and of course my wonderful guest, Dami Moyela. See you in the next episode. Bye.